Hello, I'm Tony Guida. This is My New York. Today, the riveting story of a charismatic entrepreneur. He made a vast fortune from dozens of companies. He was catnip for every woman he met, movie stars included. His exploits were splashed across the country's front pages. He was John Franzese, and he lived to be 103 years old. Unheard of in his profession. Mafia boss, Sonny Franzese. Shortly before he died, Sonny told his story to award-winning journalist Sandra Petty. She'll tell it to you next. Sandra Petty, welcome to the program. It's a delight to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well, Tony.
This is a terrific book. You need to get this book, but there's one thing about it, a small thing that bothers me. This author is named Sandra Petty, but on the book cover, it says S.J. Petty. I have a feeling I know why, but you're going to tell me, and we'll see if I'm still bothered.
Well, my editor, who's very experienced in editing mob books, didn't think anyone would buy a mob book by a woman.
Really?
And in fact, when you think about it, there have been mob books by women about mob wives, mob daughters, mob mistresses, but not a book about a mob boss by a woman.
Well, I guess I don't like the sexist implications of that, but let's move on to the meat of this. How did this come about, Sandra?
Well, in fact, I had interviewed Michael Franzese, Sonny's stepson, who has left the life and is now an evangelical Christian. And I had interviewed him for another story, and at the end of the interview, he said to me, yeah, after this, I'm going to go up and visit my dad. He's 100 years old, and he's the oldest inmate in the federal prison system. And of course, Michael being Michael, he knew that that was just dangling a shiny thing in front of a reporter.
Sure.
And I bit. So I went for it.
And you said, Michael, I want to talk to him. Sonny never talked to reporters. None of these, well, maybe some of them, but Sonny never talked to her.
No, Sonny never spoke to reporters. And Michael really didn't talk to him all that much. And Michael did not help with the introductions. Yeah. And it took about 9 months of working through a circle of people.
So so you interview him in a nursing home, is it?
At the end of his life, when Sonny was out of prison at age 100, he lived in a nursing home in Queens because no one in his family was able or willing to take him home.
Yeah, that's one of the remarkable facets of this book, Sandra, that this is a guy who made tens, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars illegally, and of course, but at the end of his life, he was indigent.
He was, and he always had a fanny pack full of money, so people brought him money, but he did not have a home, and he hated the nursing home, and he hated the food, but yeah. You know, he managed. It was better than, and he was still on parole at age 100.
He was getting out of prison after serving how many years?
He served a total of about 28 years for 2 different bids, as he put it.
Yeah, as they put it. But he was sentenced to 50.
He was sentenced to 50 years in 1970 for bank robberies that he said he never committed. Yeah. But in the federal system, you never do the whole bid. But when he was sentenced, he told the judge, you watch, I'll do the whole bid. And he did. And
he did, yeah. Remarkable. You say in the book very openly you liked him. And he's always been referred to as a charming guy. Men and women. Was it his charm that seduced you? What do you like about a guy like this?
Well, he was very smart. He was charming. He knew how to read people, and he told great stories.
Oh, yeah.
Great stories. And he was funny. He had a great sense of humor. He's the kind of guy you'd invite to a backyard barbecue until you realized you wouldn't want him near anything or anyone you loved.
Yeah. Well, the stories are just... Sandra's underselling it. The stories are in the book, and just incredible reading. I'm not sure either of us believes everything he said, but a lot of it you confirmed with court documents and everything else.
Oh yeah, I interviewed 130 people, not just Sonny. I interviewed his sons, including his youngest son, John,
yeah.
who went into witness protection because He wore a wire against his own father.
We'll come back to that. Imagine that you're one of your blood son, not your stepson, rats on you. Where's a wire? John did that. You know, at this point, let's let the viewers see and hear Sonny. Newsday Media Group did a documentary about Sandra's work and filmed I don't know how many episodes, but it's all available on YouTube, and we have some of the excerpts. And this is Sonny, who was this extraordinary, revered by other members of the mob boss, the underboss of the Colombo family. Here's Sonny Franzese trying to pass himself off as Joe Average.
I'm just another man, that's all. I ain't looking for no glory. I ain't looking for no credit. I was a bad guy. My mother said I was bad since I was born. She said I was bad when I was in her stomach. I had a hell of an experience in life, I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah, bad to the bone, right? I mean, the feds say he killed, his first murder when he was 14.
Yes.
Committed his first murder at 14. What can you tell us about it? I mean, how much is that apocryphal? Of course, he never admitted to any.
Well, actually, he was caught on tape saying that, and he bragged to his family
really?
that he.
Oh, that's
committed
in the
his
book.
first-
I'm sorry,
his
yes.
First murder when he was 14, and it was a point of pride to him because that's how he got inducted into the mafia.
Guy named Fagato, is it?
Well, the guy who wore the wire that caught him saying that was a guy named Guy Furtado, who
Furtado,
is now
yes,
in
yes,
witness protection.
Yeah, I would imagine. So he's got Sonny on tape, and this made him a made man at 14.
Yes, but it wasn't announced until 2 years later. They kept it quiet because the New York police were looking for whoever did that murder, and Sonny's father wanted to protect him. So they kept it quiet and then let people know when he was 16 that he was made.
And we jump 4 years in his life, and you say in the book, by 18, he was running the biggest gambling operation in New York City.
Yeah, biggest craps game.
Biggest
in New York
craps
City.
game, really?
Yeah.
So he was an earner. He really knew how to, well, as I said, he was an entrepreneur. He was a businessman.
Well, he was a very smart guy. He could have been the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. He was that smart. You know, he invested in stocks. He watched the stock market very, very carefully. He was very smart with money and cheap. Really, really cheap.
Never picked up a check.
Oh, no, he never picked up a check, never paid for a vacation. I was even bringing him lunch at the nursing home. He never paid for lunch.
So he pretty soon moves to Long Island, out of the city, and essentially, fairly quickly takes over Long Island. Anything that was, you know, wrong in the way the gangsters use it, this is wrong, you know, it's illegal. Seemed like almost anything, it was his on Long Island in those days in the 60s.
Well, it was because he would take it over. You know, he saw a trucking company that was making a lot of money. Some guys go to the trucker and they say, Sonny Franzese wants to be your partner. And the trucker says, I don't need.
I wanted to ask you, his M.O., take us through that. When he saw a business he liked, he decided this is mine, or at least partly mine.
Right. You're going to be my partner.
Tell us that trucking story.
So he sent some guys over to the trucker. He said, Sonny Franzese wants to be your partner. And the guy says, I don't need any partners. And then the next day he finds sand in his carburetors and he finds a few flattened tires and he fixes them. And a few days later, the four thugs come back and they beat him with baseball bats. So much so he wound up in the hospital. And in the hospital, he signed over half his company to Sonny. That's how ruthless he was. And as a result of that trucker's experience, he complained to a friend of his who was an IRS agent. And the IRS agent took him to a U.S. attorney and said, well, you got to testify. And he said, I can't testify. They'll kill my whole family. And that was the genesis of the WITSEC program.
Witness protection.
Yes.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yes, it
His
is.
own son is now in witness protection, I guess still, right?
No, he did leave the witness protection program. After I wrote a story about his father getting out of prison, he did leave because he didn't want to die before seeing his family. You know, in witness protection, you're not supposed to be in touch with your family.
Yeah.
And he wanted to see them one last time before he died, because John Jr. has HIV, so death is always in his thoughts.
Tick off for us, you know, and you can go on as long as you want, some of the businesses Sonny was in.
Oh, Sonny was in everything. Well, he had several music companies in the 60s. He had a booking agency for theater, liquor distributors, dry cleaners, pornography. He was big in porn, but he didn't want to admit it because it was unseemly for the Colombos to make money off women. That was okay for the Gambinos, but it was unseemly for the Colombos. But he did it.
Odd sense of the propriety, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and he had travel agencies. He was moving into sanitation. I don't know how far he got into that. Banking. He was big in banking. And of course, he also relied on the old standbys, loan sharking and extortion. Those were always his go-tos.
Am I remembering from the book correctly, or do I have this wrong? Kama Sutra Records was his?
Kama Sutra Records was one of his companies. He was a silent partner in that.
Well, they're always, not always, but they're silent. Like Frank Costello, as you point out. Frank Costello was a silent partner in the Copa.
Right, which is where Sonny felt right at home. You know?
Yeah.
I asked him once, I said, where did you sit when the Copa was crowded? He said, I sat wherever I wanted.
Well, but you go further than that in the book. If the place was packed, finish the story.
If the place was packed, they'd put a table on the stage for Sonny. And he said to me, you know, sometimes I think people were coming to see me more than they were the stage acts. And he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. But he was also big in the music industry at a time when all those bubblegum hits were coming out, like Hanky Panky and Chewy 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 and, you know, bubblegum hits. He was very big in that. And record producers liked him because he never tried to get his girlfriend a singing gig, and he never tried to interfere with the creative process. He really had a good ear.
There's a reference in your book to Bobby Darin and another mob boss giving, and that's the verb, gave Bobby Darin to Sonny. What does that mean?
Well, Sonny worked with Mo Levy, who was the head of Roulette Records, and Sonny hated him. He said he was a thief. He robbed everybody.
Oh, he did. He never paid any royalties. What was his line? Somebody else told me. I'll have to think of it. But it's like, oh, you want royalties? Go to England.
Yeah.
That was Mo Levy.
That sounds like Mo Levy. He was affiliated with the Genovese family. But Sonny told me I couldn't do to him what I wanted to because he was with us. He was a friend of ours. But he said he did give me Bobby Darin. So it was obviously to settle up some kind of debt. So Bobby Darin came under Sonny's protection, which meant that he had to kick up a portion of his earnings to Sonny.
Okay. You mentioned Michael, who is a stepson. He, pretty good earner himself, and went to, or was convicted in what was it, a gas tax thing?
Well, yes, there was one gas tax case where the mob had figured out how to siphon off all the taxes, so they kept all the money, and they were literally pocketing, the estimates are anywhere from $2 million to $8 million a week from that.
What? Say that again.
$2 million to $8 million a week. That's how much money they
So
were.
if I lived on Long Island during this time, and I drove a car, and I obviously filled it up at the gas station, I was supporting the mob, at least partly.
At any of the independent gas stations you see along the southern state or the northern state parkways that are closed down, all of those were caught up in this scam. But he also was charged with extortion and loan sharking. Things came to a head for him in the 90s, and that's when he decided, I'm done. I'm going to turn.
He turns, but he made a deal with the feds, and you point out in the book, and I'm just getting a little ahead of the story, the feds afterwards, local officials on Long Island, police, police were real angry with the feds and the deal they cut with Michael.
Well, they were, because he got a time-limited deal. He only had to cooperate for a year, which is very unusual. You know, most of the time when you cooperate with authorities, you basically give up your life. You have to tell them everything, and it's ongoing.
Well, as you point out in the book, he said, I mean, I'll paraphrase, but he said, you know, I'm going to turn, as you say, but I'm not ratting on my father. I'm not giving him up. Is that accurate?
Well, yes, I think it is accurate, although I don't know that it really came to that from Michael. They wanted mob bosses all over the country, and he gave them up. He likes to say now that the only person he ever testified against was Norby Walters, who was a big club owner and entertainment guy. And he didn't. He only testified against Norby, but he gave a lot of information about other mob bosses throughout the country. Because Michael, and if you meet Michael, he's very articulate, very smart. He was their emissary to other mobsters in other parts of the country.
And you said earlier he's now an evangelical preacher. You know, he found God. And I wonder, do you buy it, or is it a con?
That's so hard to answer. His friends think it's a con, but I don't know that I can judge someone's faith. He certainly knows the Bible. I've seen him give sermons in person, and his message resonates with people. And maybe his brother John said it best. He said, "What does it matter? He's doing good things with his life. He's not committing crimes. So what does it matter?"
Good point. Yeah, okay. We should talk about, you talked a little bit about how ruthless Sonny could be in terms of business, but he was ruthless at home too. Let's talk about this woman, Tina, this love of his life, second wife. She was a spitfire.
Absolutely, absolutely. She was beautiful, elegant, she had exquisite taste. In the late 60s, early 70s, she was dressing in Versace at home. She dressed her kids all in designer clothes, and her home looked like a designer showcase. But she was also not a typical mob wife. She did not recede into the background. She was very vocal in defending her husband. But she was also very vocal in going up against him. She didn't take, and Sonny said to me at one point, he just loved it about her. He said, she wasn't afraid. She wasn't afraid. And he admired that more than anything about it.
But yeah, but their life was a blizzard of lies. I mean, she didn't, when he married her, he conveniently forgot to tell her, well, I was married before and I have 3 other kids.
Right, right. She came back from the honeymoon and discovered that he had 3 children from his first marriage. And she was expected to take care of them. And she was all of 23 years old. And she was not a good stepmother. She wasn't. She was very, very hard on her stepchildren. And then as her own children came along, she made it very clear that she favored them.
How did she react to the fact that he just had one affair after another, after another, after another?
Well, Tina died in 2012, so I never interviewed her. But I did talk to close friends and family members of hers. And I think that she thought some of these affairs were unimportant because they were like one-night stands, and he always came back to her. But over time, it got bad. And I remember at one point in his last prison stint, women were writing him love letters. He got, just out of the blue, they were sending him love letters. And of course he saved them, and she found them, and she went nuts. She was furious. She was very angry. And this was even when after they were separated. They loved each other, but they couldn't, and they fought constantly, but they couldn't stay away from each other.
I said in the intro he was catnip to women, and you should mention, you know, the affairs that he had with some very notable movie stars, or at least claimed he had. Let's go through that list.
Well, let's see. Marilyn Monroe, Dion Carroll, Dionne Warwick, Dagmar, Jane Mansfield. He did make out with Ava Gardner, but did not claim to go to bed with her. And a lot of men who read the book don't believe the affairs, but Sonny was pretty scrupulous in the way he described his interactions with each of these women. And he never claimed to have gone to bed with Ava Gardner, or Sandra Dee, for that matter.
he made out with Ava Gardner, according to the story in the book, while Frank Sinatra was on stage at the Copa. They're in a back room, and he's trying to hit on her, and they didn't go all the way. Do I have that?
That's absolutely accurate, because he and Frank Sinatra had this sort of jousting relationship where they had to one-up one another. And at one point, I said to Sonny, Sonny, did you know Frank Sinatra? And he said, you phrased the question the wrong way. You should have asked, did Frank Sinatra know Sonny Frances?
Wow. You know, early in the book, you point out when he moved to Long Island, and when, I guess, after he married Tina, they built a house, or
Yes.
but the feds had a bug, or several of them, in that house. I mean, they put it in while it was being built, in the kitchen, right?
Right. They put in illegal bugs. They were completely illegal.
Yeah.
But they listened to all their daily fights, and they took notes on all the fights, which I have. And it painted this picture of this very tempestuous relationship. They fought all the time. They fought about the children. They fought about money. They fought about whose mother was better.
Sonny never talked business, or rarely talked business at home, but if he did, to Michael, for instance, or John, I guess, he took them in the bathroom, and they turned on the water, and they flushed the toilet, and all of that kind of stuff. So what do the fans do? What if they've got hundreds of hours of tape? What do they got?
Well, they didn't have a whole lot until near the end of his life, when his son John was wearing a wire on him, and his buddy Guy Fatato was wearing a wire. And at that point, Sonny was in his late 80s, and he wanted to mentor these younger men. And he was also trying to set up his son John in the life. He was trying to make sure he'd be okay. So he let his guard down with his son. And Guy Fatato was very smart, because every couple of weeks, he'd give him an envelope. And of course, the envelopes were coming from the FBI. As long as he gave Sonny an envelope, he was receptive.
The feds, how many murders do they claim or believe he committed, Sonny?
Oh, they believe he committed 40, or ordered 40 to 50 murders. And there was a very high-profile homicide trial in 1967 in which he was charged with ordering the hit of Ernie the Hawk Rapolo, a one-eyed hitman whose body was found in Jamaica Bay. His bloated body was found in Jamaica Bay in 1964, and Sonny was charged with ordering the hit. But he got off in that case because at the last minute, a surprise witness showed up out of nowhere and got Sonny off.
Sonny was in California at the time. I was with him, yeah, that kind of thing. We have another excerpt from the Newsday documentary, Sandra's work, and this is son John, and he's kind of sheds a different light on Sonny's relationship with murder. Listen to this.
He did like to talk about acid, and I assumed he had some experience with acid.
What did he say about acid?
That the bones dissolve in the acid.
Well, bones dissolve in acid. Huh? I've never tried that. I mean, you know, I don't keep a lot of acid around. But you know, I suppose you could throw chicken bones in a bowl of acid and see if it really works.
Well, he also talked about using kiddie pools to chop up bodies and putting body parts in microwaves to dry them out. And his family members said he had no idea how to even use a microwave. That's ridiculous. But John said, no, but he knew how to tell someone else how to use the microwave.
Yeah, he did a lot of telling other people. What do you come away with? You talked about him earlier at the beginning of, intelligent, interesting storytelling and all of that. But what do you come away with about his view of his life at 101, looking back as he was doing with you?
Well, Sonny was an unabashed bad guy. I mean, more than once he'd look at me and he'd say, I'm a bad guy.
Oh, by the way, I forgot such a great part of this. We talked about Sonny and his trying to hit on everybody. He tried to hit on you, right? At 101?
Yes. He was, the male videographer walked away for a minute, and in a flash, Sonny turned to me and he said, say, you married? I said, yes, honey, I'm married. He goes, ah, too bad. I'd take you out to lunch when I get out of here. Now, bear in mind, he was in a wheelchair, one eye, fake top teeth, pacemaker, one kidney, and gout and a litany of physical problems. But here he was, hitting on me at age 101.
Fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Let's go back. I'm sorry to interrupt, but your reflections about his reflections on.
He really was, he felt he had led an extraordinary life. He knew it. He wanted his story told. But there was also regret. He was very sad about what his time in prison did to his family, because his family fell apart with him gone. And that was a regret he never expressed to anyone in his family.
It's a little hard to process that, regret about this, but he didn't. He chose what he did, and
Sure.
it didn't seem. The family seemed to come second all the time.
Well, and that's what ultimately drove Tina into distraction, and that's why she left him, because he kept on. He'd get out of prison. He violated his parole 5 times because he was hanging around with other wise guys. I mean, how do you do that 5 times? And that was her reaction, and she felt that he put that life above his own family, and he did. He did.
Chandra Petty, this book, Sonny, The Last of the Old-Time Mafia Bosses, John Sonny Franzese. Really a good read. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
so
being
much.
here. Thank you for watching, folks. We'll see you next week.